Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is another year, another season. Heartbreak, disappointments, love, everything we're going to experience, all the emotions this season. And I just want to say, smile now, be happy, because as soon as tomorrow comes, hearts will be broken, souls will be destroyed, jubilation will be a part of some people and not others. And it's just going to be one of those things. So welcome to everybody. Big shout out to you all. Just welcome Drew. Drew, what's going on, man? Having sit in the sun all summer, relishing the victory. Tony's nodding his head because he's like, Liverpool's going to be back. Having relishing the victory of Man City's dominance last season. How have you been?
Right. Honest answer, mostly drunk. I'm pretty sure that I got pretty shit-faced on the last day of the season just to celebrate. I mean, yeah, we'd already won it, but last day of the season, let my hair down, celebrate a little bit. Euros, instead of being the emotional roller coaster it normally is for 4 weeks of football, we only had one night of emotional letdown. So yeah, I've drunk my weight in Doom Bar, I think, consistently on a daily basis for the past couple of months.
And Tony, how have you been, man?
I've been all right, because I'll tell you something. If you 6 weeks before the end of the season, if you'd have told me that Liverpool were going to get third, I'd have said, nah, I can't see us creeping into third. I didn't think we would get into the Champions League, to be honest. But we had a good run at the back end of it, you know. So it's given me, a bit of hope for this season. In the transfer market, we haven't done a lot, even though, getting Van Dijk and Gomez back is like 2 new players for us. But I would like us to get another 3 players, to be honest with you. I think we need at least another 3. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think we need so much. We need a minimum of 3 players, which is a goalie, a right back, and an attacking midfielder. So we need a minimum. I don't know what's going to happen with Arsenal. I don't trust them to get anything done. They always leave it till the last minute, last day of the transfer market. Lastminute.com does not do you any favors, because all your preparations just thrown out the window. By the time the window closes, we could have lost to Man City and Chelsea and bumbled up a result against Brentford. So our preparations are just in the can. They've just dash it out, throw it out, lack of preparation, lack of planning, and we are nowhere at the moment. And I'm happy that I said that to you guys before Andy got into the stream, because I would have had to lift up my skirt and show Andy my knickers, which isn't really nice at the beginning of the season when you're an Arsenal fan. So thankfully I got that out of the way while Andy was not in the party. So good to hear from you, though, Tony. Andy, man, how you been? We're just really saying how we've enjoyed our summer. Yeah, how you doing, Andy? How's things?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, man, we're all in good faith at the moment. We're all happy before the start of the season, where I told them we're all going to be miserable and we're all going to be cussing. Well, not all of us, but most of us. So, how's it been with you? How's the tennis going, man?
Yeah, good. We've got a game on our last game of the season on Tuesday night, and if we need a big victory to win the league.
Excellent.
If we win, we'll get promoted, but we need to win by a large margin to win on set difference. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Excellent. And I want to say a big shout out to everybody out there in the medium world. 101 Arsenal, big shout out to you, my posse deep with Arsenal fans. Big shout out to Arsenal 101 and everything football banter page on Facebook, out there on Twitter. Big shout out to you guys on Twitter, and we're also streaming to YouTube, of course. So big shout out to everybody who's watching. Hit that like button. Today is just realistically a preview of the season. We're not necessarily going to be doing match previews or anything in that regard. What we're going to be doing is really talking about what is going on. But first of all, who's going to win the damn thing? Because that is the most important thing at the moment right now. So we're going to have a look at some of the big teams in that regard. But we're also going to be answering some questions which I'm going to throw up. So the first one, guys, that I want to bring to you guys, in no particular order, you just go for it as soon as you feel the answer is there for you, which is, do you think Chelsea can win with the best defence? Now, Chelsea had the second best defence in the league. Arsenal had the third best defence, and Man City walked the title with the first best defence in the league. And I think in regards to Chelsea,
can I just point out the defence is spelled with a C?
Yeah, not in the. I'm listen, American football fan. I'm used to spelling it with an S.
Defense.
Yeah, defense.
Defense.
That is hilarious.
Defense soccer. It's football we're talking about now.
Yeah. I always have a go at the English when it comes to like that swag and all that stuff. But it's funny how English people kind of change the dictionary when they hear a lot of American. Like people don't say data anymore; they say data. You know, and it's just like no, it's actually data. It is supposed to be. So yeah, it's kind of crazy with that. But guys, what's your thoughts on Chelsea this season? I mean, I gotta be honest, man. Boy, Chelsea are ready to go, and I want to shout out a big shout out to my boy Danny, who lives in Wembley, who's watching this stream and is a big Chelsea fan. He asked me to big up Chelsea today. Normally, I leave that to Dave, but I just feel that for me, I think the favourites, because at the moment, Kane's not a Man City player, so I'm going to leave it up in the air. What I do know is Lukaku is a Chelsea player, and that's the one weakness that they've had. They've had no other weaknesses, and even without a striker, they would still manage to win the Champions League. So with a Lukaku, who's got a better record than Drogba, I see them as major front runners. Big shout out to Bertram. Bertram, you're actually supposed to be on this stream. Actually, he's working at the moment. He's not free till 10 o'clock. Bertram says, Andy, win, and Tottenham is up. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, that's Bertram.
Dan Kroenke, is that Bertram?
Yeah, that's Bertram. Bertram, showing you some love there. So, guys, what's your thoughts on Chelsea?
Dan Kroenke's just a moron.
So, guys, what's your thoughts on Chelsea at the moment? Drew, what's your thoughts on Chelsea? You're a Man City fan. Can they challenge you for the title?
Right, I'm going to say this, and I mean it in very much serious terms. If Chelsea started last season with Tuchel as manager, I think Chelsea would have been second in the league and very close to actually beating City. I genuinely believe that. Their one weakness last season, they had Timo Werner, who, as we know, he can't hit a barn door with a banjo. Lukaku's he transforms that team now into a serious title team. And I think without a striker, I think City aren't beating Chelsea. So now, I've been saying all summer we don't need Harry Kane at City. Do you know what? I'm actually going to eat my own word to say, do you know what? If we get Harry Kane, that's our only chance of actually beating Chelsea this year. Their team's too good, I think, all round.
And what's your thoughts, Tony? Do you think that this is the team that everyone's going to be watching right now?
Yeah, they have to. You know, the Champions League winners, and they've got Lukaku in now. I don't know. Tuchel's going to have to find a way of putting him in there and getting him service because he played a totally different way last season because they didn't have a real centre forward. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fits him in. But if they start firing, you know, they're going to be up there. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. They're going to be scoring goals. Defensively, as you said last season, how strong they were. They've got strong midfield. Yeah, I think they're going to be right up there. There's no doubt about it. I'm not sure if they'll win it, but they'll be right up there, no doubt.
What's your thoughts on this one, Andy? You think they're going to be in with a shot with the title?
I'm a bit conflicted on this because Chelsea were way off it last season. So there's a big gap for them to make up with Manchester City, in my opinion.
But don't you think that's because of what I said? Because they didn't have a striker and they've gone out and...
Okay, but it also depends on how highly one rates Lukaku. And here's no doubt he has improved immensely since he went to Inter. But for me, his time in the Premier League, where although his goal scoring record is fairly impressive in the Premier League, I've never really rated him in the same class as a Kane or Lewandowski or any of these other strikers. I've never believed it. However, for Inter last year, there's no question that he was top class, and he seems to have developed his game. He's brought more to his game. He's linking play better than he ever did before. He seems to have matured quite a bit out at Inter. If he can come back and bring that to the Premier League, then Chelsea have got themselves someone that can get 20 plus goals, and that's something they didn't have last season. I mean, Jorginho was their top scorer last year with 7, and most of them were penalties.
Yeah,
which is just absolutely nonsense, given that they ended up finishing third, fourth in the end. Can't remember who got third in the end out of them at Liverpool.
Fourth,
But they were fourth, weren't they, Chelsea?
Yeah.
To me, there was still quite a big gap, because Chelsea, let's not forget, until Tuchel came in, Chelsea were pretty average, quite frankly.
Yeah.
What it looks like, though, is they found a run of form under Tuchel. Bearing in mind they still lost on the last day. I mean, if Leicester had beaten Spurs on the last day, Leicester would have got that final Champions League place.
Yeah,
and
true.
They were 2-1 up with 20 minutes to go. It was only because Bale came on and changed the game in the last 20 minutes that meant Spurs nicked that brilliant Europa Conference League place that we're all so ecstatic about.
Chelsea had a poor run. I think the last 10 games or something. They won 4, I think, something like that.
Yeah, they did.
They were poor.
I mean, Chelsea did their best to throw it away and just got that Champions League place in the end. So, and I think Man City, I don't know. I mean, they lost to Leicester in the cup final. And when they played in the league, I think City were a bit flat. I'm not overly convinced by Chelsea that they've got the right formula, but it could easily change. I'm not sure Manchester City are going to get 90 plus points this year unless they sign a top class striker. Whether that's Kane or whether it's they go for another option from abroad, I don't know.
Is that a segue into Man City? Because we're on Man City now. So do you want to go first on that one? What's your chances of what do you think their chances are of doing a back-to-back title?
Well, you see, this is the problem. Having a preview show before we know who people have signed and who they haven't signed is quite a difficult one. But
it is, I agree.
Based on what they've got now, I think they might be short, because they've lost Aguero, who admittedly didn't play that often last season, but they coped. But whether they could do that again without Aguero playing at all, if they don't strengthen up front, I suspect that they're going to buy a top class striker. The question is it going to be Harry Kane? If you put Harry Kane in that team, then I think Manchester City win the title, no question about it. If it's not Harry Kane, it depends who they get.
Drew, what's your thoughts on this? Obviously, you're a Man City fan. I've
got a couple of different schools of thought on this. We do need the top striker. Part of me doesn't want Harry Kane though, and it's purely because of his age.
Because you're friends with Andy and you want him to do well. So you
no. It's football. Literally, screw everyone else. No, right. Kane is 28, £160 million outlays. What Spurs are talking? You're never going to recoup the money, but you will win trophies. That is a given in the short term. You will win trophies. If you were to sign Haaland, though, on say a 5 or 6 year contract, you're one day going to be able to recoup the money on him a lot more easy than what you would with Kane. But, and this is the one thing, if we do sign Kane, we're adding the assists of De Bruyne with the goals of a peak Aguero, which, put that into the team from last season, that's a scary prospect. And now obviously we've got Grealish, who's another 10 to 15 assist a season player. So if City were to sign Kane, City would still win the league.
Yeah,
But I don't think we're going to get Kane though, quite honestly.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, I'm hearing that the Man City are going to increase their offer. 18 says Liverpool for the title for me. Big shout out to Sentiment as well. Cool K saying what's up to a couple of you guys. Bertram, we already heard from Bertram, although he's put another post. PW, big shout out to PW, one of Neomis's friends. He says the business team in Chelsea are getting the job done, selling off players and fixing their weakness. And addressing their weaknesses as well with Lukaku. Big shout out to them. Bertrand says Lukaku scores everywhere he's been. West Brom, Everton, Man U, Inter. May not have the greatest first touch, but approximately 1 in every 2 games. It's a better scoring record.
That's exactly
it's a better scoring record than Kane and Drogba. You know, I mean, he'll be judged on Drogba, not Kane, but he's got a better scoring record in the Premier League than Drogba has. So. And Drogba was a nightmare for defenses in the league. The G says Man City will walk the title with Kane. Tony, what's your thoughts on Man City? Obviously, Tony, as a Liverpool fan, has walked the title. Not Chelsea, not Man City. No one can touch Liverpool when they walked it, when they were fit. And guess what? We're going to be seeing a fit Liverpool this season. So what chance do Man City have of winning a title? Do you think Liverpool have strengthened? Well, we'll come on to Liverpool in a minute, but we're talking about Man City for now. But what chance do you think they got to win the title?
It wouldn't surprise me if they did. You know, I think the only team that can seriously challenge them is maybe Chelsea. The Grealish signing was a strange one for me. I couldn't quite understand. Maybe we'll see it, but I couldn't quite understand the Grealish one.
I agree because
100 million. I think
when you think Sterling couldn't get in the team on the back end of the season, and he was one of the standout players. He was England's best player essentially.
So that was a bit strange for 100 million. You know, why not just put another 50 and get Kane? That was a strange one, and obviously it happened before Messi left Barca as well. So I think Pep must have been screaming and stamping when he saw it. Because what do? Do you have Grealish for 5 years for 100 million, or Messi for a couple of years for 65?
But that's the same argument as Haaland or Kane, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. That's So it wouldn't surprise me if they did, to be fair. But the striker thing, I think now with Chelsea doing that with Lukaku, I think he's forced to buy someone. And the thing is, in the market, there's not too many strikers available.
No, there isn't. That's the reason why.
You can't say Kane's available. He's not available. You can't say Haaland's available or Lewandowski. I know that if Chelsea got Lukaku, you're going to have to get someone similar. And I don't know if he doesn't get Kane. I don't know where he's going to go.
Yeah, I mean the 2 strikers at Arsenal are not very good. Lacazette's okay. Aubameyang's gone into the toilet. So I mean, where are the strikers?
I don't know.
They were talking about Lacazette going to Roma today.
Yeah, I think they're still they just want to do everything because they've got. I know Nketiah is injured, but they've got Balogun who's coming up. They've got Martinelli who's going to be a boss in the Premier League, and these guys have to get on the field. And with Arsenal, we know their strengths are with their young players. Their old players are a complete and utter waste of time. So anyway, that's Man City, guys. Let's move on to what are we going to talk about now? Let's move on to Tottenham. And the question here is, how will Tottenham cope if Harry Kane is sold? And really, how will they cope if he stays? Let's go to our Tottenham guy in Andy. Andy, what's the prognosis here? How do we fix it?
It's a difficult one because obviously no Spurs fan wants Harry Kane to go. But given that it's clear that he does want to go, then if his heart's not in it, you'd say take the money. The question's going to be is, are they going to put up the money? Because I can tell you now that there was rumours floating around today that City are willing to up their bid to 150 million euros. Now, why people are talking in euros when we're both English clubs, I have no idea. It's just like nonsense.
Well, it's 150.
If that's true, you're talking 127 million pounds. So I can tell you now, Levy will not accept anything like that. They're pretty much adamant on all the Spurs forum. Anybody that knows anything about Spurs, Levy will not accept less than 150 million pounds.
But what about you? Would you accept it, Andy? Because, and I'm asking you this question because I'm telling Arsenal fans now, I would rather them not buy Maddison for 70 million, use that 70 million to get an attacking midfielder. Probably
70 million. Are they really talking about 70 million for Maddison?
Well, of course they are, because now Leicester have seen Grealish go to
Grealish.
Million.
So
they're saying if
Maddison's now worth 70 million to Arsenal.
That's what, that's what's happening. So I'm saying to Arsenal fans, I would rather get Onana as a goalkeeper, Aouar as an attacking midfielder, and go and get myself a right back. I'd rather spend that 70 million and strengthen, because we've got weaknesses. We ain't got a second goalie, we ain't got a right back, we ain't got an attacking midfielder. So Maddison solves the attacking midfielder, but then you still got, what happens if Leno gets injured? You're going with Runarsson, who is a car crash. So I would rather spend that 70 million and spread it around. So Andy, the question to you is, would you sell him for 150 million? And what would you do with that money?
My own personal view is, for all these people that are saying he's not worth it, you've got to look at the market. If Lukaku is 100 million and he's a year older than Kane, right, then Kane is the World Cup Golden Boot winner, the Premier League Golden Boot winner currently, and he's had 3 of them, and he would have had 5 had he not been injured for half of the last 2 seasons.
Yeah,
so,
he's injured.
So the previous 2 seasons I'm talking about. So the question is that he's the England captain, captained England to within a penalty shootout of winning the European Championships. I mean, quite frankly, he is, in my opinion, his value is 200 million, which is what apparently Levy rates him at. So what Levy seems to be saying is, I'll come to the negotiating table if you put 150 million on the table. Then I'll start to negotiate. That's what Levy seems to be saying. But he's saying, I'm not even going to bother negotiating unless you bid 150 million. Now, what I think could happen is if City were to get to 150 million and stick Laporte on top, then I think they could get it done. I think 150 million plus Laporte, I think Levy would go for. But I don't think Spurs are going to mess it. I think Levy wants 150 million pound cash. Then he'll take a make weight on top of that. But I don't think he's going to settle for less than 150 million being as part of the deal. And so City need to decide whether they're prepared to pay it. Personally, if I was them, with their money, because it's changed to the Saudis. It's changed. It's loose change to them. So if I was them, I'd pay it. But they're gonna what's going to happen when they pay it is people are just going to say, well, yeah, okay, you've bought all the best players in the world, so you're going to win everything. That's going to be everyone's answer. Sorry?
We can point to PSG now and say, no, they're the ones ruining football. So,
well,
we can jazz as much money as we want. So.
The 2 state-backed clubs are going to be the 2 best teams in Europe because they are the 2 richest teams in Europe.
Yeah,
and that is the way it's gone. Now, some people will argue it's always been like that. You know, in the past, United have been the richest team in the world. Real Madrid have been the richest team in the world. So some people will say the football's always, to some extent, been like that. But I think it's getting to the point where it's getting a little bit obscene now, the amount of money that PSG... I mean, to be fair, PSG, they've got a lot of the deals on freeze, but they're paying huge
the wages are astronomical. Look at their wage bill. Oh, my God.
Is it $500 million or something for a season?
How their wage bill works in FFP, I have no idea. But
well, there's no FFP at the moment. Yeah, I'm a big advocate of FFP, and I can't even bring the conversation up because there just is none. You know, it's just no FFP at the moment. So let's go to what Bertram said. Bertram saying play Grealish in the 10 and De Bruyne at the 8. And then he just says 150 million for a 28-year-old player, utter madness. He then goes on to say Arsenal should have Onana, Aouar, Max Orange, which I totally agree with. Spot on, Bertram.
Well, Spurs are also in for two of those players.
Ooh. PW
and Aaron's are both on Spurs'.
Wow, so if they sell Kane, then that could be it. It could be it. PW says, let's say Levy refuses Kane to leave. That will surely affect Kane because you're not going to be getting him at his best. As we all know, Levy made Kane a promise. Yeah, that's 100%.
Well, what promise did he make him?
You know what promise he made him, so no need to bring it up.
He said he could leave if the correct bid came in.
Money, yes.
He didn't promise what price the bid was.
I think it was more, rather than him making a promise, I think it was more what Kane demanded. Kane said, okay, I'll stay another year, and then we'll see what happens next summer. So regardless of what Levy said, Kane made his bed, didn't he?
Well, no, not really, because it's not down to the player to decide what he gets sold for. The club decide what he gets sold for.
Yes, he does, but the player, if the player wants to go, then player wants to go, isn't it? We've seen how that's worked out in the past.
Well, then he shouldn't sign a 6-year contract then on 200 grand a week. I mean, You know,
I agree.
I'm sorry that I have no sympathy for players that sign a 6-year contract and then want to leave after 2 years, 3 years of a 6-year contract. You sign a 6-year contract.
The reason why they do that as well is to safeguard the club, so the club gets
maximum
money for him. So it's a 50-50
and Levy is doing exactly what every Spurs fan expects him to do, which is to screw City to the wall. Say you want Kane, you've got to come up with the most mammoth bid we've ever seen in English football to get him. And I think he's absolutely right. And if City don't want to pay it, that's also City's prerogative. That's their prerogative to walk away. But if they want him, they're going to have to pay, in my opinion, more than anyone should pay for a football player. But that's the deal. So take it or leave it. That's the way I look at it.
Tony, before I go to Tony, let me, Bertram saying Kane failed at 2 Euros and wasn't good in the World Cup. G says Kane might have been a top scorer, but he was poor for most of the Euros. Sterling was by far England's best player. Bertram says City should buy Aubameyang for 20 million. G says, Andy, it also feels a little sad. Spurs put off the rebuild that Pochettino had said the club needed back in 2019. And instead, Daniel Levy opted to get the rich, quick option of Mourinho.
Well, that was a bit of a mistake, wasn't it?
Yeah, Stephen says, a big shout out. I haven't seen you in a while, Stephen. I hope you're doing well. Stephen says, 150 million for a player just makes a mockery of the game. A few years back when City were completely dominant and league got boring, kind of agree with that one. And then PW says, in Gary Neville's interview, it was 100 million. Interesting. Tony, what's your thoughts on Tottenham? What are they going to do about
Gary
Kane?
Neville's interview was that Levy might sell him for 100 million. He didn't actually put a price on it.
Yeah, well, the crazy thing about the money is Coutinho went for 146, so it's not that. So 150 million isn't that crazy, to be fair, when you think about it.
And that was before Hazard. Hazard went for 142.
Yeah, it's some sort of crazy sort of money. So now with Tottenham, obviously they've got a new coach now, so we'll have to see what Nunes what he does. Harry Kane, if he's not sold before the window's shut, then I still think he put 100% in with Tottenham. Then January we'll see where Tottenham are and how he's doing. Because if Tottenham are mid-table come January, I'm not too sure how he's going to be feeling. Whether Man City put in a bid then, they might do. But I think Tottenham were looking at the other Inter striker, weren't they?
As Martinez.
Yeah, as a possible replacement if he goes. And look, if they can, if Tottenham could get 150 million, get Martinez in for 60 million or something, and strengthen, then I think it's all good for Tottenham. Obviously, won't win in the league, and it strengthens Man City. But for Tottenham, I think it puts them in a better stead to get in the top four. But it's a turnaround for Spurs because obviously they've got Nunes in there, and we don't know how he's going to attack it. So and the Harry Kane thing. So we'll see when the window closes where Tottenham are going to be. But I think Tottenham is still going to be in the top. I think Tottenham will be in the top 6 without doubt.
Yeah, I mean,
top 6.
Yeah, top 6.
You think so? Top 6? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Spurs will be in the top 6. Yeah. Still, if Harry Kane stays, then I can't see why they couldn't be in the top 6.
Drew, I know we just lost you there for a second. Drew, what's your thoughts? You've already said you're not really bothered whether Kane comes or not, but how do you think?
Bothered's the wrong word. Kane would improve City. There's no doubt about it. Kane would improve. I'll be honest. Any team he went to in Europe, he would improve them. Even PSG, he would improve them.
So the question here is, how will that affect Tottenham? What's Tottenham's season going to be like without a Harry Kane?
If they make the right signings, which, to be fair, Tottenham's business so far this transfer window has actually been pretty good. They've addressed some of the defensive issues. I agree with Andy that if they could get hold of Laporte in any deal for Kane, I think Spurs instantly going to be in a top 4 team that just need another striker. I don't think Martinez would be the option though from Inter, because
I think Vlahovic is the one we really want.
Yeah, he's dangerous. He's lethal. He's quick. He's strong. He can hold the ball up or he can turn a defender. Which Martinez, I'll follow Serie A quite closely. He's decent amongst lots of players that are playing for him, and playing alongside Lukaku in Serie A last season made life very easy for him because there was no one in Serie A can mark Lukaku. He's too big, too strong, too quick, and Martinez was getting a lot of free space to work in. So I think anything looking at him.
I think, Drew, if you're Inter, I think that you pull the trigger. You've just got 100 million for Lukaku, and another London team has offered you 60 million. That's 160 million.
Oh yeah,
pounds.
Well, they're already looking at Insigne from Napoli, which I mean, to be fair, he's 25 million. I know he's 30, but 25 million for a player of that quality, even at 30, you take that.
Yeah. Who's that?
That's a deal that you do all day long.
You talking about City?
No, Inter going for
Inter. Yeah.
I mean, I think Insigne's one of those players who he could only get away with playing in Italy. He's undersized. He's not exactly quick, but he's skillful. He uses his brain incredibly well. So I think if Inter picked him up, I mean, it'd be like the second coming of Roberto Baggio for them, quite frankly. He's just he's a top quality player who's an improvement on Martinez by a long way.
So we're going to start with Tony on this one. Tony, let's talk about Man United now. What?
You're not going to talk about Tottenham.
Oh, Tony, did you
talk about Harry Kane? You haven't talked about Tottenham.
Oh, I missed Tony on Tottenham. Hold on.
No, I've talked about Tottenham. I spoke about Tottenham already.
Yeah, he's already done Tottenham. All right.
I'm saying that we're going to discuss Tottenham's squad rather than just Harry Kane.
Oh.
No, I think once he goes, that is your squad.
Yeah, that is your squad. Yeah. Remember, the question was, how will Tottenham handle, what will happen to them without Harry Kane? That's the real de facto there. For me, that's the main MacGuffin.
We'll be all right. The club's bigger than the player.
PW says, Levy made some promises to Modric and Bale, and they had to force their moves. Kane was an idol for signing 6 years, but if Kane stays, it will cause issues at Spurs. Kuke says, it's not that Nuno Espirito Santo was Spurs' 10th or 25th choice to be manager. Bertram says Tottenham should take 150 million and go and raid the French and Italian leagues for discounted assets. Many very good players there who can be acquired. Yeah, I agree with that.
We are doing that.
Yeah, Tottenham is Harry Kane. I disagree. Remember, look, their record without Harry Kane is impeccable. I can't understand what all this fuss is about Harry Kane. I think
we have got. I'm not being funny. Pre-season, we've been playing with Ali, Bergwijn, Son, and Mora, and they have been tearing it up.
I know. But their record previously, because Son has been so injured over the last few years, their record without Harry Kane is impeccable. I don't know what all the fuss is about. I'd sell him in a heartbeat if it was me. But
I mean, we're certainly a better team, a more consistent and better team with Harry Kane in it.
Yes.
However, what we need to do is find a way of changing our style of play so that it doesn't because basically everything over the last couple of seasons has focused around Harry Kane. And I think it might take them a little bit of time to get used to him not being there. So it might be a bit of an indifferent start to the season. I'm hoping we can get quite a sharp start to the season, but we may have to wait a few months for it to click into place. But I actually think we've got a lot of good players, and if Romero, I think, is a fantastic signing at centre half. Brian Heel looks fantastic, fantastically skillful. Although I think he will take time to adapt to the intensity and physicality in the Premier League. That he could be one of those that we'll see more of a year down the line.
Look what PW says. He says Spurs are going to rip up the Europa Con League. Unbelievable. They probably will.
I'm looking at it now. It looks like we're going to be playing Pacos de Ferreira of Portugal in the playoff leg.
Oh,
someone's got a nice holiday this year.
So I remember talking to Tony Iris 2 years ago, and Tony said to me, Apollo, if Harry Kane comes back in the place in the Champions League final with us, I would absolutely love it. He loved it, and they ended up winning. That was, for me, that was the biggest mistake that Tottenham have made. I would have it completely upset the balance of the team. It was such a shame. Before let's go on to Man United now. Tony, Man United, what's the question for them? I think the question is second the best that Oli can do, given with what he's had to work with at the moment? I mean, they've got Jadon Sancho, they've got Varane. So so defense, midfield, everything's been strengthened. Cavani's signed an extension. Is second the best they can do, or do you really think with a revived Liverpool, with a stronger Chelsea? Sorry,
is Pogba going to go though?
Well, he's got 1 year left, hasn't it?
No.
He's going to. Pogba will run it down to the last year.
Will they sell him to get some value out of him?
Oh,
I think it's a smart thing to do because he'll walk on a free.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, I know.
Problem is, I don't think he's going to accept a transfer anywhere unless it's PSG. But PSG know that they can wait until next summer anyway. So I think United are stuck with him, fluffing the balance of that squad for another 12 months still.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be going in the transfer window. I can't see him going this year. Man U.
If he doesn't, they've lost him for nothing.
Yeah, well,
they paid 93 million a few years ago, and they're going to lose him for nothing.
Yeah, but mind you,
guys, he's on 300 grand a week. How much do you think he's gonna charge teams if they buy him on a free?
Well, he'd be getting about the same, or maybe more, maybe more.
He'd be getting more.
I think if he goes to PSG, I think he's going to be looking for 450.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
he's going to be in that Messi Mbappe league, isn't he?
Yeah, he could do. But Tony, for Pogba, they lose him in a free, but the amount of money they made from him, from shirt deals and all that sort of stuff, they've made a lot of money out of him. But for Man U, I think Man U are striker short, and I think they're a midfielder and a playmaker short. I think they're three players short, just like Liverpool are. Yes, they got Varane, they got Sancho, but I think they need another three players in there. Defensively, I'm not 100% sure. I know they've got Lindegaard and what's his name, the England defender, who I don't in the Premier League. He's all right. He's not outstanding in the Premier League.
Well, he saved he got West Ham into Europe single-handedly, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of West Ham fans are excited, but I don't think they can finish in the top six without Lingard.
No, sorry. I meant in defence, Manchester United defence. What's his name?
Right.
Slabhead.
No, who's this?
Maguire.
Lindegaard, isn't it?
Lingard going to Leicester.
Oh, right.
Their defender, yeah. So defensively, I don't think they're strong because him and what's the England goal centre half?
Maguire.
Maguire. I don't think in the Premiership, Maguire's all right, but he's not brilliant in the Premiership. So I think defensively they're not that solid, and I think they need another. They need another striker. So I think they hit their peak at second. I don't even think they do second next season. I think this season they might be. I reckon they'll be fourth.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a lot of traffic coming in now. PW says, who would buy Pogba now? Well, it's a year left on a deal, so anyone can buy him. He's cheap as chips at the moment, mate. But I do agree that he says PSG's just got a Messi. Cool K is saying Solskjaer's side finished second last season. A sustained challenge should be the goal. Stephen said Luke Shaw. Well, yeah, I mean, no doubt they've got a good team. They finished second last season. United will finish outside of the top 4, says 18. Drew.
This has nothing to do with personal feelings towards Man United.
Here we go.
Noisy neighbours.
I could see them getting fourth.
Yeah.
But I think City and Chelsea should be first and second. If Liverpool hook it all up like they did a few years ago, Liverpool will be in that conversation as well. United, and I'm going to be honest now, and it's all about Sancho. I've had a lot of Man United fans giving me a lot of meh about Sancho recently. There's a reason why City let Sancho go. And it's a lot of it has to do with his attitude. He's ballsy, which, yeah, that's a great thing. But he's also, from what we heard back when we let him go to Dortmund, he doesn't apply himself. It's a very him attitude, which, to be fair, when he was a 17-year-old asking for $8,000 a week, that kind of reflects that as well. So Sancho's not going to be the messiah for them. He's not going to turn them into a Premiership winning team anytime soon. All the talent in the world, but I don't think he's got the application for it. Like Tony said, though, they're a centre forward short. I don't rate Fernandes still. He's decent, but is he as good as De Bruyne? No. Is he as good as, say, Salah over at Liverpool? No.
Okay, so I do need to say something. Yesterday, you guys probably saw that I did a fantasy football show for half an hour, and that was the point of discussion because Bruno Fernandes and Salah had the most points midfielder, so they're the most expensive. And I had to explain why I was going for Fernandes in my fantasy team and not Salah.
Penalties.
Well, not so much penalties, but what you just said there was the reason why. United's got all these other creative players that they can build up their play with, and so has Liverpool with Salah. But Liverpool have got all these creative players that they play around Salah, and Robertson on the flanks and Trent Alexander on the flanks and Mane. So they've got a lot of creativity where their plays can go through the flanks, through the middle. Man United have only got Fernandes. Everything goes through him. Everything. So that's the reason why he gets all them assists, all them chances he creates, gets goals as well, obviously, takes penalties, free kicks. Everything goes through that player. So in terms of fantasy and goals and assists, he's up there. So I think it's difficult because you won't get that from a Liverpool or a Man City because they've got too many quality players. Go on, Drew.
Hey, there's the thing. I don't rate him whatsoever. But yeah, he's in my dream team and he's my captain. Because he's gonna score a lot of dream team points.
Yeah.
Mr. VAR. Mr. VAR. He had the most VAR points attributed to a single player in the league last year, and it wasn't even close. Like the next player towards him was like 12 points. He walked it. So is that you, Drew?
Yeah, I can't talk about that filth anymore.
Andy, what's Man United going to be up to? Is second the best they can do? Are they going to? A lot of people now saying they're going to fall by the wayside.
Finishing second, unless they keep a sneaky late bid for Harry Kane up their sleeve.
Ooh.
Yeah, but he wants to leave to win trophies.
Yes, no, I know, but Kane may just have enough belief in himself and the likes of Maguire and Fernandes and Sancho. He may believe that if he went to Man United, he could make them title challengers.
You're
Now,
naughty. Yeah. You Spurs fan. I know why you said that, because Robin van Persie did exactly the same thing.
It'd be good on his TV. Yeah.
But the point I would make is I think Kane absolutely wants to go to City, but I wonder if United might test the water and go in with a 150 million bid or 140 million or something, and put the cat amongst the pigeons and maybe see whether they can sway Harry Kane to go their way. If City won't pay the money, if Man United would, whether that could have influenced things. But personally, I don't think Man United are that much better than Spurs. I really don't. I don't see that Kane would necessarily have much more of a chance of winning anything at Man United than he would at Spurs. But I do think something's gone on there, and it may be better for us to let Kane go and rebuild with a younger, fresher squad. That in effect, because the problem is Kane has such an impact on the whole squad, and the way the whole team plays is to get the best out of Harry Kane. But then when Harry Kane wasn't there for a few games last season, overall we've got a reasonable record without him. But in the few games he wasn't there last season, they looked lost when he wasn't there. And we lost to Chelsea, and we lost to Liverpool, and we lost, I think, even to Brighton. And then he came back and he scored against West Brom, and we won, and then we went on a little run again. So I do wonder whether 150 million reinvested in the squad would actually be better for Spurs over time than just keeping him right now. But it's difficult. So I don't want him to necessarily to go, but at the same time, I wouldn't be devastated if we got huge money to rebuild the squad and let him go.
So I think we're going to start with Tony now, our Liverpool fan, and I think you all know what the question is that I'm going to ask. It's not that difficult. It's a very easy question. Are Liverpool back?
Are we back? It's too early to say.
They didn't have Jota when they won the title. They've got their whole title team, plus they've got additions.
Yeah, we have to see how Virgil and Gomez is going to be. You know, they come back from injuries. We don't know how good. I'm from what Van Dijk had. I'm not sure if he's going to be back to, if he will ever get back to his best, because you usually come back from those sort of injuries. You usually lose something. So it really depends on how he comes back. Last season we were misfiring up front, so we need those guys to start off fast and hard. I still think we're 3 players missing. Yes, we got a centre half, but I think we need another midfielder, a wide player, and another striker.
I think David Luiz is available. Actually, I shouldn't laugh, because he was one of our best players last season, and he single-handedly won us the FA Cup.
Klopp's good, but he ain't that good. So I still think we're 3 players short. Our squad, it doesn't go deep enough. We've got some decent young players coming through, like forgot their names now, Harvey Elliott and those sort of guys. Young, but they're young. Shaqiri looks like he might be going. We're trying to get rid of Divock Origi, and I think what we need to do, we need to sell before we can buy. But the players we're trying to sell, you know, how much are you going to get from Origi? Maybe 10, 11, 12 million.
I would take Origi in a heartbeat. I've always been a fan of Origi, man. Always.
Shaqiri, you know, we're trying to sell him off, but they don't want to pay the 13, 14 million. So we need to sell players to get some in, which we're finding hard to do. But I think we're 3 players short, so that's why I don't think we'll win it. Not this season. Can't see it.
Andy, let me come to you. Are Liverpool going to be back? A full strength Liverpool side is something we never got to see last season. And as I said, they've made quite a few additions to that. And now we're getting a championship team that walked the season with some added additions. Tony's still saying he bloody needs players.
Well, they haven't made that many additions. What they've got is players coming back from injury. That's what they've got.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got that. I mean, Van Dijk and Gomez, I rate highly. The question which Tony just alluded to is, what has that injury taken out of Van Dijk? Has he lost half a yard of pace? Because a lot of players that have that injury do lose half a yard of pace when they come back. And he's what, 30 now? I think 29, 30.
Yeah.
But you know, if he's fully recovered and he can find his level quickly, then Spurs are just sorry, I just got a message.
Liverpool, you don't take this.
He loves his team, doesn't he?
He plays for Liverpool, he don't pay for Spurs. No, unless you get 150 million. We'll go on.
I mean, I think so. I think Liverpool need a centre forward.
Yeah,
I don't think Firmino. I think Firmino is not the player he was 2 years ago. I think he had one or two very, very top class seasons, and he's fallen way off that in the last year or two. We've just seen it in fits and starts. The dynamic between Salah, Mane and Firmino just didn't seem to be there last season, but that may have been because they knew that without Van Dijk and Gomez and the other injuries they had last season, Trent was out for a while, Hendo was out for a while. They may just have lost a little bit of their mojo a little bit. But it may be that now with you know, they've got Gomez and Van Dijk back. They've added Konate to the team. They may well buy one or two more players before the end of the window.
Yeah,
it may be that they're okay, but they've lost Wijnaldum, and I think that is going to be an issue for Liverpool.
I don't think he'll be I think Robinson will be the issue. They got the new kid. Robinson,
he's injured now.
He's injured, so they got the new kid coming in. What's his name? It begins with T. Tamarcus. They got him coming in. I talked about him on my fantasy football show because he's starting for me this weekend. You got Norwich, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got Norwich. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's so. I think they'll miss him more, Andy.
What, miss Robertson more than? Yeah, I think so. Robertson riding down the left flank. So again, it might take Liverpool a little bit of time to hit the ground. I do think Liverpool need a centre forward. I really think they should go and get a centre forward.
Yes.
But whether they will, I don't know. I mean, if they've got to sell to buy, I'm not quite sure why. But if they have got to sell to buy, then yes, that's going to be a bit of a struggle for them. But
yeah.
It would appear that City and Chelsea are the two favourites, but it wouldn't shock me if Liverpool put in a challenge, because if you can keep clean sheets and Liverpool at their best can do that, then they've got the ammunition to win football matches, no question.
Oh man, this season is shaping up to be really exciting. We've got Fabrice says Arsenal should put a cheeky bid in for Pogba. Hikuke says Fabrice, I was thinking the same thing. Apollo talked. Yeah, I did talk about it last week when I saw his evaluation drop down. I was like,
Pogba was going to go to Arsenal.
They wouldn't pay the wages. They wouldn't pay the wages.
To be fair, you've been turned down by Bernardo Silva today, so I don't think Pogba's going anywhere.
Drew. Betra says, Drew, join the camp on Fernandes, overrated. Stephen says, Fernandes at the Euros could not fool the higher quality refs with simulation. Premier League refs need upgrading. Totally agree. D, big up to you as well, D. Big shout out to you. PW says, how old are the front three for Liverpool? Are they past their best? Drew, what's your thoughts?
No, don't pass their best.
I think Mane's still he's got more to come. I think in his absolute best. We saw him a couple of years ago, absolutely flying. I think he can still play beyond that level. Salah, I don't really know what his peak is, because Salah's capable of absolute brilliance, and then just vanishing for a couple of weeks. But he's exciting to watch when he vanishes as well. So it's a bit of a weird one. Firmino, he does everything you want in a number 10 in terms of linking the play up.
Yeah.
But he can't. He's never going to be the goal scorer that Liverpool need.
He's Harry Kane without goals.
Yeah, let me just come in there quickly. He's never been a striker. I don't think he's ever been a number 9
He
striker.
came over from, was it Hoffenheim he was at before?
Yeah, Hoffenheim, yeah.
He literally played between the 8 and the 10 position. In Germany. So the fact that he's played this long effectively as a Liverpool striker has been weird. But it shows what good a coach Klopp is. He can use a player who's distinctly average by most people's assessment of him, and he's got not just a few great seasons out of him. He got a league-winning campaign out of him.
Yeah.
So it says a lot for Klopp. But I mean, talk about Liverpool near centre forward. They do actually have one in Origi on the bench. And I'm like you, Apollo. I think he has everything in the toolbox to be another Lukaku.
Yeah, I agree.
He just hasn't had the opportunities at Liverpool.
But Liverpool players, the fans don't rate him. I don't get it.
He's not the same class.
Well, he hasn't given the. When I see him, he just rips it up. Defenders can't handle him. He's such a. The guy has got everything. He's got pace, 2-footed.
The thing with Origi, when he's off the bench, he looks all right. But when every time he started, when
doesn't do much.
Front three have been injured, he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, but I think it's people used to say that about Pepe, and once Pepe got a run in the team, I mean, Pepe was killing it in the back end of last season. 10 goals in 16 games. I mean, he could not stop scoring. But I think Origi needs that because when you look at him,
they weren't all in the Premier League, Apollo.
What's that, mate?
They weren't in the Premier League. He wasn't scoring every game.
What do you mean?
You were talking about Pepe ripping it up at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Perhaps it wasn't in the Premier League. He wasn't ripping it up in the Premier League.
Yeah, it was in the Premier League. Arsenal went on a 5-game winning streak. He had 10 goals in the last 16 games. He was absolutely fantastic. If he doesn't start this at the beginning of this season, which he should have at the front of last season, if he doesn't start at the front of this season, then it's just diabolical. They brought Willian.
Money he should.
I know, but they brought in Willian and it backfired on them. But at back end of last season, because imagine that you've got a guy like him who only played 16 games in the Premier League. It's pathetic, and all the guy does is score and create. It's just ridiculous. He had 16 goals, 9 assists for last season, and he hardly played. So, ridiculous. So guys, that's Liverpool. We'll move on to.
Arsenal.
Yeah, I literally have tried to.
Link them.
Apollo doesn't want to put Arsenal up.
Well, guys, last night the three of you probably didn't see our stream last night. It was we have a stream every year, which we predict the first 10 games of the season. And last season, I said we were going to get 10 games, a possible 30 points. So I said last season we would get 16 points out of a possible 30, and that's exactly how much we got. Last night, I said that Arsenal will get 12 points out of a possible 30. The team they've lacked preparation. They knew they needed an attacking midfielder when the transfer window opened. They allowed Buendia to get away. They have not addressed it. They've gone in without no backup goalkeeper when they had Matt Ryan for free. He was already at the club and then he was available on free. And Matt Ryan, as you know, has been Brighton's goalkeeper in which Brighton's one of the best defenses, fifth best defense at keeping clean sheets. Arsenal are a total mess right now. But the question is, can Aubameyang return to form? Because if he returns to form, Arsenal's fortunes will change. Last season, we couldn't score for love or money. He's played 6 preseason games and failed to hit the back of the net once. What's your thoughts, guys? We'll start with Drew this time. Drew, what's your thoughts on Arsenal's chances this season?
Quite honestly, your chances. I think you just sold him up to Newcastle. Joe Willock is an absolute beast of a young player.
Bang on.
And on at 25 million, 25. I'm going to swear, 25 fucking million. He is
but we did
genuinely
that
brilliant at his age.
We did that with Martinez last year for 20 million. He's one of the best goalies in the league.
Yeah.
If you was to buy him now, what are we looking at? 60 million, 50 million?
The thing is, it makes no sense to me. So you've got American owners. The Americans are the people that theorise Moneyball and how you assign a value to a player based on potential and what they've achieved so far. Well, Willock hasn't had the chance to achieve anything at Arsenal so far, so it's hard to actually assign him any value to that. But then you look at what he achieved in the second half of the season at Newcastle, and you're selling him for 25 million.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
Mate, we are a dumpster fire. We are literally a dumpster fire at the moment. We are a calamity of mess, completely underprepared. And the fact that before it was just Arsenal fans that were seeing it, but now other fans from teams are seeing how much of a mess we are. It is a dumpster fire.
The only bright spark that I can genuinely see in your immediate future is Saka right now. But I mean, I'm not going to put it past a Crumb case to get a 70 million bid for Saka in the next 18 months and sell him. Quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, we've got so many needs. As I said, backup goalie, right back, creative midfielder, and there's no money in the kitty. There's no money in the kitty. So what's your thoughts on Aubameyang? Is he going to make a comeback this year?
He's never going to get back to his Dortmund days. Never in a million years. He's never going to be that prolific again, I don't think.
I don't even think
last season. I know he was recovering from COVID in the second half of last season, but he seems to have lost that half a yard of pace that he had. He's not as explosive anymore. So I can't believe we're going into a season and Lacazette might be your best option, but you're looking at selling him to Roma.
Yeah,
it's sorry. I mean, if Nketiah gets fit, then I genuinely have hope in him. He's got a lot of talent. So, but then will Arteta actually bring him through and play him? So,
I think the way Arteta sees it is that if I get a creative midfielder, if I get a Noir or Maddison, then that is going to be the catalyst to push Aubameyang forward. That's his way of thinking, and that's Russian roulette, man. That's you're playing with fire.
You're going to invest £70 million in Maddison, who, quite frankly, I know this theory of Grealish went for 100 million. Yeah, because Grealish was a buyout clause. Maddison's not. I'm gonna say and be controversial. I don't think Maddison's half is actually as good as Grealish, and I don't think Grealish was worth more than 50. So Maddison, I'd put him at probably the same value as Willock, to be honest.
So it's funny you say that because I made a video this week and talking about the statistics. Maddison scored 8 goals in 26 games. Willock scored 11 goals in 15 games in the Premier League.
Yeah,
8 of those goals were for Newcastle, and he scored 7 in 7 games at one point. And you've sold a guy for 25 million to buy a guy who's less productive at 70 million.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. This sounds very much like Man City before 2008. I mean, it's literally piss poor financial management, and I don't know what Edu's actually doing for you at the moment.
Yeah, I think he's about to lose his job because, however Arteta goes, Edu has to go. And Edu's the technical director. He's the guy who makes the decisions on transfers, who comes in. He was a scout. He's the one that brought in Martinelli, remember? But great, fantastic. How have you backed it up? You brought in Willian. They brought in Mari and Suarez. I mean, I can't even quantify. And then you sell Martinez. Maitland-Niles is a stud who snuffed out some of the best midfields in the league. He ain't played in a year. He broke into the England team as well. And he didn't even play him. I just don't get this. They're doomed. Seriously, Arsenal are doomed this season.
I'll be honest. If I was to give the honest assessment on where I think Arsenal will finish, it'd be anywhere from 8th down to 14th.
Yeah, I said 8th. Yeah, I said 8th. I said 8th. Last night, I know a lot of people didn't like it. Sorry, Arsenal fans. But I got to be honest. You know me, man. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Let's go to Andy. Can't wait. Look at him licking his lips. We're gonna have to go to Tony because Andy's gonna absolutely trounce us at the moment. So Tony, what's happening with Arsenal this year? Is Aubameyang gonna come back to form?
Yeah, I think the thing with the Willock, we've got to remember Willock had a good 6 months, and now he's gone to Newcastle. We're going to see what he's like at the beginning and when some pressure's on, because he had no pressure on him when he went to Newcastle. So we got to see how he handles it when he goes there. I think the way Maddison plays is different to him. Obviously, Maddison's more of a feeder for the front men for Leicester. And he's a good free kick taker. He's a good player, Maddison. He's obviously not worth 17 million, just like Grealish worth 100 million. As for Aubameyang, who knows? It really depends on how the team's doing. I think if the team's playing well, he'll play well. If the team's not, then he won't. So it's a difficult one. And I don't know where Arsenal are. I'm not sure Arteta knows either. That's my problem. And all last season before, I was saying to you, Arteta, I couldn't figure him out. I couldn't understand what he was trying to achieve with his team. He was leaving some players out who should be in. He was taking out players. I'm not sure if Arteta knows what he's doing. I think that's the biggest problem.
You know what? I've been saying to fans for years, Tony, that Guendouzi was a star in our team. Torreira was a Rottweiler, a bulldog, and you've swapped out those guys for
Torreira.
He swapped out them guys for Xhaka and Ceballos. I mean, it beggars belief. We had the worst midfield in the league last season.
Yeah, I just couldn't understand what he was trying to achieve, Arteta. And I think that obviously that's what happened where you finished in the league last season. This season, he's going to be under pressure. I think your first 10 games. I think if you're 12 points out of 10 at your first 10 games, is that what you said? That's what you predicted?
12 points out of a possible 30, because obviously 10 games, 3 points for a win, 30 games.
He'll be under pressure. He'll be under serious pressure. I don't think the fans would like it, and he'll be under serious pressure for me, Arteta. And if you're not even playing that well, then he's got to be careful.
Yeah, and it's a baptism of fire. We've got obviously we open up at Brentford. That's going to be a tough game. They beat 4 Premiership teams last season. Brentford did in competitions. They're going to be another Leeds. Not going to be an easy team. Then we've got Chelsea at home. We've got Man City away. We've got Spurs in our sixth game as well. So things can go a lot wrong with Arsenal, and they've not strengthened. They are the same team that is going out there with the same frailties and no improvement anywhere. I mean, Ben White comes in for David Luiz, but that's 1 for 1. Where's the improvement? Goalie still the same with the frailties, poor distribution, defense was number 3 in the league, so credit to the defense. And Ben White, I'm hoping, is going to be a star at Arsenal. But the midfield, no improvement. Strikers who cannot score, no improvement. And
you need from Partey. You need a hell of a lot more. All right, it was his first season last season, but
he's injured again. Yeah, he's injured again. Yeah, he's injured.
And he was injured part of last season as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's injured for all of last season. I remember in the game against Tottenham, they even played him when they shouldn't have. They were told he's only 70% fit. If you play him, he's got a 40% chance of getting hurt. Again, they played him, and what happened? He got hurt.
Yeah, desperate. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see if you get anyone else.
It
we'll
was.
See.
I mean,
we'll see if we get anyone else in the market. But if you don't, then yes, 6th, 7th, 8th, maybe 8th,
I think
7th,
so.
Maybe.
Cool K says we are so shit. Stephen says Arsenal, we're still selling our best and buying rubbish. He says Willock sale, if it goes, yes, it's gone ahead. It's gone ahead. He agreed personal terms today. Reminds me of Andy Cole sale to Bristol Rovers and the loan transfer. Big shout out to Mr. Beanhouse. PW says bunch of twats in the Arsenal management team. Bertram says Apollo, our midfield, including Touré, Guendouzi, Jacques, etc., are not good enough. Well, they were good enough when Guendouzi and Touré was there, but since we got rid of them last season, we are absolute toast in the midfield. Bertrand says we are working our way down the league, but slowly. Don't worry, we will achieve our objective of being irrelevant. I can't even argue with that. Andy, you got the conch. The floor is yours. How is Aubameyang? We're talking about Harry Kane, and then we're talking about Aubameyang. I mean, these are guys. They both won the Golden Boot with the same amount of goals, and here we are.
It's not football related. I got distracted because apparently there's been a major shooting incident in Plymouth and several fatalities. So I just caught my eye slightly. But so I don't know what that's all about. It's just come up as breaking news. But yeah, back to football. Arsenal, what can I do?
Oh God!
To be honest, I love all the banter. We have a laugh. You take the piss out of Spurs. We take the piss out of you. It's just you do look like we have been in the past, where you look like you're in disarray. I don't know what's going on at your club at the moment. Selling Martinez, selling Willock. I don't get what's going on. Bringing in the likes of Willian as you did on ridiculous money, paying Aubameyang ridiculous money, Ozil ridiculous money. I just don't get what's happening at your club. For donkey's years, for 20, 30 years, you lorded it over us, and you were a well-run club, particularly under David Dean when you had Wenger. But since David Dean's gone, your club, you just seem to be steadily going downhill. I just don't know what's going on there, the decision making, and just some very strange choices. And it's if I was an Arsenal fan right now, I'd be really worried, because you've got some great young talent, but what you need is a few established older heads to bring those youngsters through, for those youngsters to learn off and to feed off. And you don't really seem to have those kind of players there to bring. Back in the old days when you had the likes of Tony Adams and all these kind of people, those youngsters could come through and learn off those great sort of role models, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira. You just don't have those in your team anymore. So I wonder where those youngsters are going to learn, who they're going to learn from, because you have got, in Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, you've got some top class young talent at that club.
Kieran Tierney as well.
Kieran Tierney. You've got some top. Gabriel is another one.
Gabriel, he's 22. Ben White's 20.
That's what I'm saying.
23.
You've got 6, 7 top class young players that are all under the age of 23, 24.
With no leadership.
But you've got no leaders to bring those guys on, no structure to. Like I say, I watch Arteta's team, and when he was first there, I thought you can see what he's trying to do. But last year, he seemed to lose his way during the season to the point where you had no idea what was actually going on or what the plan was with him. And the same thing happened with Pochettino at the end at Spurs and Mourinho at the end at Spurs. That you kind of look at the team and you think, well, what are they doing now? You're not quite sure. Yeah. I'm quite encouraged for us with Nuno Espirito Santo. I think he has a method of play, and I think we'll do all right. But Arsenal, you'll probably still end up doing okay. But you're way off it. I can't see you being in the top 6. I really can't.
So guys, the last question that I've got, and I'm going to open the floor. Anyone can jump in when they want. Which of the promoted teams can survive? I'm going to go for Brentford.
Yeah, I agree.
They've just got them guys. I looked at Watford and I thought, no, it's just I just can't see. I mean, what have they done? They brought in a few players, but the players that Brentford have got, especially Tony, the striker, you wait and see. I mean, everyone thought Bamford was knocking them in last year, and the people still hate Bamford.
Yeah, for some reason. Yeah,
they still hate the guy. All he does is score goals.
Yeah,
but this guy is scary.
Yeah,
this Tony.
He used to be at Peterborough.
Yeah,
and he came over. I think Brentford and Watford could stay up. I got serious worries about Crystal Palace.
My worries about Burnley and Southampton.
No. Burnley are safe. Burnley are not going down.
Yeah, make sure your wife's not listening.
I'm basically just trying to buy myself some extra love tonight. So.
I'm not sure what Wolves are going to do because they were suffering.
Wolves might struggle.
Yeah. As I said, Crystal Palace with Vieira. Don't know.
Yeah.
They're always struggling down there. Yeah, Southampton, Brighton. I know they've done all right. So I think I'll be surprised. I won't be surprised if two of them, if Watford and Brentford stay up, and a couple of the old stages go.
Drew, have you chipped in? Who do you think's going to be able to make it?
So normally with promoted teams, you can go, yeah, they're probably going to go down, and then be really surprised by one of them staying up. But I agree with Tony. I think Watford could stay up, not comfortably. I could pitch them like 14th. But genuinely, Brentford, they're such a well-run team. They're organised. They play their style. And importantly, for a team coming up, they showed last season in the games they did play against Premiership opposition, they can impose their style.
They beat 4 teams, 4 Premier League teams.
Yeah.
I mean, Norwich have had to sell their best players, and it looks like Cantwell's going to be on his way as well now.
Yeah, Norwich, you can't see him staying up.
So I think Norwich, their keep hold of Pookie, but I think Norwich will virtually be cut adrift and down by Christmas, quite frankly. If they lose Cantwell, they've got nothing.
Yeah, Buendia is such a big player for their creatively. Yeah. They're going to really fall flat on their backsides.
They've got Billy Gilmore from Chelsea, haven't they?
That's true. Yeah.
It will be asking a lot of him to be making all that difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially they're literally gutting and clearing out their midfield and replacing them with young loan signings. Yeah. So I can't see how Norwich feasibly could stay up. But no, genuinely, so. I mean, there's obviously Salah at Watford, who has been the subject of a few different transfers.
Yeah, yes, hasn't he? Yeah.
If they lose him, things are a bit tougher for them. But I think they've got enough.
He was linked with us today.
Yeah, he was linked with Spurs. That's right.
Yeah.
He was, yeah.
I mean, a lot of teams are going to struggle this year, but we're not used to seeing struggle. It's like, I think Southampton should still have enough to stay up. Burnley. I mean, I called them for relegation last season, and they surprised me. So,
yeah,
I think their stay in the Premiership might be coming to an end now. They've been consistently getting worse year on year since they.
You know what? I think I'm not sure. I think we've seen the same thing from them year in year out. I did talk about this last night when I was on the Arsenal stream because we got to play them in our first 10 games. They are hard to beat at home. But away, they are atrocious, and that's been the form for the last 2 or 3 seasons.
The only difference is now, though, they were able to sneak a few more goals, like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, Woods.
You look at that team now, and you struggle to see them scoring even at home now.
Yeah.
And for the last 2 seasons, they've started off really slow. So, I don't know if he's going to be third time lucky if they start off slow this season. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I just worry about Southampton. For me, I think Southampton's going down. There's only so much patchwork you can do.
They lost obviously Ings and their centre half as well, didn't they?
Yeah, Vestergaard's virtually gone now, hasn't he? So,
and that's what I'm saying. You spend all this time selling all of your players to all the other teams to the point where your academy can only get you so far. And I think that I think reality is going to hit them hard, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard for me to say Palace are going to go down because of the players they've got, and they've got Zaha, and regardless of what happens, that Palace are always going to be tough.
Thing is, I think Palace are definitely in the conversation to go this season.
Yeah,
but I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's going to be one of those ones where you're going to be able to like look back at it and go, the players have let the manager down.
Well,
Vieira's not got a lot of managerial experience, but what he's got, he failed in the States, and he done moderately better in France.
But the thing is, Drew,
he's not had a good job yet.
He's got to go away to Liverpool. He's got to go away to Chelsea. Yeah. This is in the first 5 games, and they're at home to Spurs. So, and they're a young team as well.
Yeah, for me, it doesn't matter when he would go and when he would visit those teams. They've been struggling for a long time, and they're really good players out, isn't he? What's his name? The young guy who they got from QPR. But he had a bad injury, didn't he?
Yeah.
Is it Eze?
Eze, that's it. Yeah. He's been on really good form. And I was like, are they going to keep Salah?
I mean,
they're going to keep him.
He's been trying to push for a move again, but the problem is,
yes.
I don't think his agent realises what his actual market is.
I said to Bertram ages ago, Man United, if he went to Man United, failed, and since then, no top teams even touched him. Nobody, not a single phone call.
I don't know if he was priced out. I don't know if Palace were pricing him out.
80 million.
They were looking at 50, 60 million, weren't they?
A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They priced him out a couple of years ago, and now no one wants him.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, they priced him out, and then obviously you got COVID, and people's their coffers are not as big as they were before. So now you'd only get what 25, 30 for him, would you?
They wouldn't. Yeah, they wouldn't sell him. The last I heard, in the first week when Arsenal were trying to get Buendia, we called Palace, and they were still talking about 45, 50 million. And Arsenal just put the phone down. That was it. It was the end of the conversation. No one's come in for him. It's, like you guys have said, he's overpriced.
Yeah.
So guys, listen. That is our preview of the season, and we've talked about quite a lot of teams. I was going to go. Yeah, I've got pictures. I was going to go into Everton, Villa, and Leicester, but I think that with the time gone as it is, I think we've covered the most important things.
I think Villa could put a strong shout in this year. It wouldn't shock me if they got top 6.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm actually with Andy on that one as well.
I agree.
Leon Bailey is a top quality addition. They obviously lost Grealish, but they've got Buendia, Leon Bailey, Danny Ings.
Yeah.
I mean, and they've already got
Ollie Watkins
and Konsa and John McGinn and
the thing is, what they've lost though in Grealish, obviously you don't get rid of a player like Grealish and just instantly replace him with one player, but they've strengthened 3 or 4 positions.
Yeah. But they had one of the best strikers in Ollie Watkins. But you know what the problem was? He wasn't fit. He scored 13 in 22 games.
He's a good player.
I mean, that is a fantastic strike rate, more than a goal every 2 games.
Yeah,
and they just but he wasn't fit. And towards the end of the year, then Grealish got injured. I mean, they had no squad. They just got ripped away. Otherwise, what we're looking at now is for them to be the new West Ham. West Ham are going to drop back, and Villa's going to
bought anyone, have they? Has West Ham bought anyone?
No, not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
Strange that they had such a good season, and then they've done nothing in the transfer market.
Yeah.
And plus they've not got Lingard now.
No, exactly.
After the season he had, Man, you weren't going to sell him. There's no way.
That's why they're going to drop out. So next week, Friday,
they're also not going to play him either this year. So
true. So next week, Friday, we'll probably talk about Villa and we'll talk about Leicester. We'll talk about Everton because those are the things we've missed out today.
I might struggle for next Friday because my cousin's wedding next weekend, so I might struggle for Friday.
No problem. If you want to do Thursday, I'm not bothered. Thursday's fine with me. I'll talk to Bertram. Bertram's since Arsenal gets slapped up 2 ways, and Bertram is just going through it right now. We all are. Yeah, we all are. We're all suffering. So Bertram, I don't want you to feel like you're alone. Tony, Ebony, Neomis, myself,
Good, I'm glad you guys are
all
suffering.
going through it. Yeah, we're struggling, mate. We're struggling. It's coming up to 10 o'clock now, so I'm going to have my dinner. I've got the Redskins against the New England Patriots at 12:30 midnight tonight. I'm going to be up. Yeah.
We're watching it. It's on Sky.
I think it's on Sky, actually. I'm going to double check. It's preseason. Right. So, guys, listen, good luck to everybody in the first week of the season. And next week, Friday or Thursday, Andy, so you lot are going to communicate with me. Yeah. We'll revisit it and we'll do our review of week 1. Yeah, Thursday's not bad. I can handle that.
Yeah, Thursday's fine. Okay, guys.
All right, guys. All the best, man. Speak to you guys later. Excellent.